In January, I started working with a brand that was doing close to six figures per month, and we were scaling very well. It was going very well. But then we bumped into a roadblock, which was content ideas. He told me he doesn't have any content ideas anymore. So I asked him, describe your brand's personality to me. And he started thinking, uh, I don't know, it's just cool, I guess. Then I asked him, describe your models in your reels. And he said, they got an aura, I guess. And that's the first mistake. You need an identity. You need to stand out. If you're new, I'm Huji and I work with over 20 clothing brands, and every single one of them made at least one of these mistakes. And I'm sure once you hear them, the way you think about branding and world building will change. If you see a person who constantly scrolls Reels and TikTok, of course their identity is not going to be that attractive as to someone who fucking skates, listens to A$AP Rocky, Travis Scott. But how do you build a brand identity? The best way is through yourself. You need to really be aware of what you surround yourself with, the people, the overall environment that you're in, and especially the content that you consume every day. Look inwards, put yourself in places you've never been before, and that's the best way to get inspired. But no matter how strong your personality is, it won't really matter if you do this second mistake. In the 90s, Gap was in their prime and they had over 13.8 billion in sales. And they were competing with big brands like Coca-Cola, Disney, Gillette. But something changed. The brand stopped using their working strategy. Instead, they decided to shift their personality. And their consumers didn't like that. Right after that, they had huge losses and the brand had to close over 200 of their offline shops, all because of a personality shift. But why is it bad to change your personality as a brand? Imagine that most of your audience are identifying as cool motherfuckers who skates, listens to A$AP Rocky or Travis Scott. They wear your clothes during skating while listening to these artists. And suddenly one day they take a look at your Instagram and you look like you're selling clothes to fucking older people. Let's take a look at Icona Club. They're all about car and vintage culture and this VHS camera filter type of thing, and they're extremely good and niched in that. On the other hand, let's take a look at 2Js. They're all about adrenaline, sports, and confidence. So what does these two brands have in common? They're extremely consistent with what they put out there and how they communicate their idea. Are you casual, playful, chaotic, or controversial? Casual brands are usually easily accessible to everyone, and their campaigns are mainly based off friendly marketing. Some examples are Patagonia, Uniqlo, or Converse. Playful brands are funny and energetic. Their campaigns are often unconventional. Some examples are Stussy, Golfwang, or Bait. Chaotic brands are maximalist. They're quite punk, and their designs are anti-fashion. Their marketing is based on creating a cult-like following, basically people who buy whatever the brand's releases. Examples are Mason Margiela, Vitamins, or Hood by Air. Controversial brands are provocative, and I feel like we're seeing this way more often nowadays, where there's more punk stuff, more edgy stuff going on. I have no fucking idea why, but it's a wave right now. Whatever the fuck it is, you need to define it, and it's not just about being cool. There's a deeper layer to that. And when you have it on paper, only then you can introduce a character into your world, and all the brands gonna resonate based off the character's personality, which is basically how worlds are created. You can't really only have a villain or a hero, you gotta always have both. Now let's talk about defining a personality trait in my phone here and set an emotion for your imagery and videos. As you can see here, so element, let's say the tone. What is your tone? We just talked about it. Playful, dramatic, nostalgic, tense, lighthearted, and so on. Facial expressions of the characters. Smiling, confused, sad, smug, surprised, or angry, whatever. Body language, relaxed, rush, intimate, awkward, confident. Music and sound, what type of music it is. Like music nowadays is everything, like it's frequency control. That's why there's this music industry and you always listen to hyped out shit because it makes you hyped out, for example. Color grading and visuals, extremely important component of a brand identity nowadays that a lot of brands miss out on, and it's getting darker and darker. Fucking hell, bro. Are you going for more bright and warm feel? basically joyful, or dark and muted, like moody, mysterious, extremely opium type shit, you know? Narrative arc, is it a tension that builds into a conflict and then there's a release? Or is it a surprise love? Is there like some people flirting, right? Like what narrative are you building into that world? Implied emotions, will it make you feel insecure like the way the character in the film or the video feels insecure, craving attention, melancholy, passive flex, humor, and viewer reaction goal? Like, do you want the viewer, this is very important, to laugh, to relate, to be impressed, to feel tension, to feel cringe, to feel seen? Define it. Oh, and by the way, if you have a trouble with defining these traits for your brand or your film, your characters, feel free to shoot me a DM on IG or just comment down below and I'll try to give you my best input as possible. Probably one of the biggest mistakes that brands do, and especially those that don't have a larger community yet, is investing at the beginning way too much money into images and they neglect the video side. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing lookbooks for branding reasons, but if you only do that without pushing traffic through your reels onto your main feed, there's not many people that are gonna see the actual lookbooks unless you run ads on them, okay? Or you promote it in a different way. Most likely 90% of your audience is on phone and they're scrolling TikTok or Reels. So why the fuck you are not there? It's simple. Like, just don't be dumb. Okay, so the last mistake is when you go on shoots, you need to define what is this shoot for. Is it mainly for my website, so clean pics, all that clean stuff? Is it for social media? Because it's very different to shoot for your website and for your social media. Of course, it can be combined, but you can't just use the same pics for your website and your Instagram and vice versa, and then use the same pics for your emails and then use the same pics for your ads, right? It has to be cohesive for sure, but people get bored really quickly, and all of those platforms have a different communication style. So you need to really define what communication platform is the shoot for. And it's not really about execution for a shoot, it's about planning. It's about showing that mood board to your videographers, photographers, stylists, makeup artists, directors if you have those people on set. Everyone got to be aligned for that shoot. Because if you just take your camera and you go on a shoot without having an execution plan, you're going to waste time thinking on the spot, okay, what am I going to be recording or shooting right now? Okay, that's it. But there's one mistake that I didn't tell you. No matter how good you are at content, you will never succeed if you don't understand storytelling. If you want to learn the exact strategy that makes cold culture 87K per month, watch this video next. Peace out.